Here we are at Mercy Hospital, the cafeteria, although it isn't really open. It's the area where you can pick up things that you want to eat, and then the little kiosks that you can almost figure out how to pay for it. Here's just what it looks like empty. Now normally in through there you'd go, and that would be the place where you would be served. So what I've got here is a turkey and provolone sandwich and some Fritos, and I actually had some soda left over that I brought from home. So I would say that this is the bad part of Mercy. The rest of it's all good. The food service. Now I had one of these sandwiches yesterday and it was really good, but some of the things they sell, the food it just isn't that good. But everything else about Mercy is really good. The people, the therapists. Here, my wife came in a week ago, a little over a week ago, with food in her lungs caused by a pecan pie that I made and allowed her to eat. And so it's taken her a whole week to get back to the point where today she's off oxygen and her oxygen numbers have returned to normal. So we're very encouraged. Now, the trick is next, though. They're repeating the swallow test. And the swallow test is going to help determine, hopefully, and it'll be clear to us, whether she should go the direction of doing pureed food only or actually have a feeding tube into her stomach. Now, of course, this was a horrible, painful experience for her. So she's leaning towards more like, no, give me the tube, because I don't want to ever do this again. Well, evidently, you can do it again, even with a feeding tube. The idea behind a feeding tube is you get out around all the things, about swallowing and chewing and everything. And my wife has what's called dysphagia. And she has cerebral palsy, so that kind of makes everything worse. But, it used to be, if you looked up about how people with cerebral palsy died, you would find that a number of them have choked to death. So that's a very real threat. So, but even with a feeding tube, you can get food that, acid reflux type thing, it can still get up and go down into your lungs. Plus, also, we're always swallowing all the time, so, saliva and everything is always going down, and normally, most of that would go into your stomach again. But again, someone with dysphagia, where that flap kind of isn't working right, it can go into their lungs. So one of the things, this sounds strange when you think about it, but one of the things that's one of the most important things you could do if you have a feeding tube is really keeping your mouth clean, really brushing your teeth. And you do it in the morning, at night, but you'd also do it before and maybe even after you eat. If you're doing puree food, but even if you're not, you've got to do it oftentimes during the day, because that bacteria is going to be growing in your mouth and it can get back down into your lungs. So it's just interesting how important it is. Now, she got some throat exercises today, which we got to print out. I kind of did them with her, but the idea behind that is you want to strengthen your tongue and the muscles that flap, the swallowing procedure, and you can actually make it stronger, just like lifting a weight would make your arms stronger. Well, doing these swallowing exercise can make your throat operate better. And again, even if you're not on food, it's extremely important, because if you just let that all atrophy, that idea that you're not swallowing and chewing food at all, that can allow more things, saliva or whatever, with bacteria to get into your lungs. So either way, you get quite amount of work to do to keep that from happening. So there's where we are. they're repeating the swallow test tomorrow, and that's hopefully is going to guide us to whether she should go to the feeding tube that, cuts out all this stuff. You just get a tube in your stomach, the food goes in, specially prepared food, of course, and or she goes to a diet where everything's kind of pureed, and nothing can be thinner or thicker than that. So that means you can't even have a glass of water that hasn't been made kind of gloppy by adding some thickening agents to it. And so tomorrow will tell. I mean, I know which direction she's leaning towards, but we'll see what results happen, and she'll be making the decision, not me. So hopefully it will become clear what the best decision is. And like I say, I'm going to try this. I ate one of these yesterday, that's why I'm having another one. 490 calories. But of course with turkey, oh my goodness, it's got smaller print on it. But total, let's see, 20 plus grams, 29 grams of protein. Total calories is 490. That's not bad at all. You see all the things in it. And of course, 320 calories in the bag of chips. And way too much salt. Let's see how much salt we got here. 150 milligrams. Oh, the whole package. The thing this is it serves to. That's kind of like a trick they do to make the numbers go down. But if you eat the whole bag, which I would think most people would, you'd get 290 milligrams of salt, sodium. And there's 3 grams of protein only. And fat, you get 26% and 13%. I don't know what this said for salt or sodium. Sodium is 68% of your daily intake, so there's quite a bit of salt in this. I mean, that comes from the bread and the cheese that's in here, and I'm sure the luncheon meat probably has had salt added to it as well. But here we go. That's the update. Oh, and just to add on, I dug out a book that I had purchased and I hadn't started reading it yet. The Seed Detective. This is going to chronicle one man's kind of journey into, and I've just read the first few pages, kind of accidentally bumping into someone. And I believe he's in Russia when this happens. Now, I got to find out a little more if he, or Ukraine, if he's living there or traveling there. I kind of quite didn't get that, but this begins his idea of being the seed detective. And what we have going on now is a massive amount of varieties of vegetables. We're just, talking about vegetables primarily here, that are being lost and disappearing because people, people want inexpensive food. What does inexpensive food mean today? It has to be uniform. It has to be shaped right. It has to ripen all at the same time. And it has to be able to be mechanically picked. So you can go to the store and buy 4 identical looking tomatoes that are in this little plastic wrap thing. And if you want to get like a brand, they're selling now what they call heirloom tomatoes now. So you have a tomato that's really kind of ugly. It's even got some cracking in it and everything. But it's going to taste a lot better than the other ones because the Brandywine's heirloom, which means it's just been planted and replanted, and it comes true to seed, but it's done out open pollinating. But the idea is someone's growing it because that tastes good, and they're not trying to optimize the shape of the fruit, the shape, the color, all its size, the ripening time. They're kind of putting all those things in the back seat for flavor instead. So that's one of the big reasons why a lot of these things should be saved. And he personally has, I think he said at one point, he has approximately 500 seeds that are saved. And he grows 70 a year so that he can replenish his stock. So in other words, if, let's just say I get some kind of corn seed that someone, I don't know, up in Holton grew, and it's not available anywhere else. It's just a family that's always planted that, and they keep planting it. Well, if I get the seed, I have to look at that and determine, there are all these research things you can look at. The book called The Seed Garden talks about it. How often do I have to replant that? And how many plants do I have to replant to ensure the viability of that species will continue? And seeds don't last forever, so you have to do it within the time frame. If they get to the point where they don't germinate because the seeds are old, you've lost everything. So you have a procedure of doing that. Although there are some novel ways to dry seeds differently so that they can be stored for greater lengths of time, and we'll explore into those a little. Bye.